Happy Cope Day, everybody. It's so good. So good. I don't even know where to start. Watching Progressive Victory meltdown on Twitter. Oh, just a ball. It's just, it's just truly a blessing. Truly a blessing. Oh, these people. These people. Happy Cope Day. I couldn't wait to get up today and cover all of the cope from last night's debate. I couldn't wait. Send those in. Send those clips in. You can send them in via the Dono chat. You can put in the clip link. I'm going to pull them all up. We're going to have the lines open all day in Discord. If people want to call in to say Happy Cope Day, very quickly give us kind of their take. I'm happy to hear it. Let's watch a little bit.
All those things. So the presidential debate between Biden and Trump just concluded, and we learned nothing new. This debate wasn't anything. It doesn't.
Whew. Well, it concluded, there's nothing new. That's just these aren't the droids you're looking for. These aren't the droids you're looking for. Go away. There's nothing to see here. There's nothing to see here. Oh, this poor bastard.
Doesn't really matter what the candidates are saying on the stage. It matters what they would do as president. Joe Biden would try to restore women's reproductive freedoms, lowering healthcare costs, forgiving student debt, fighting climate change, helping out veterans, investing in infrastructure.
Hamill said Biden had an off day. Oh, I can't wait to read it. Make sure that you tweet that when you send in the Dono chat links, that you link to Twitter too, so that I can read and show as these lunatics cope all over the internet. Will you please have a discussion with Jones? Of course I will.
Creating jobs, all of those things. That's what Biden talked about tonight, and that's what Biden has done as president and what he plans to do when he wins again. Donald Trump, on the other hand, well, he wants to give a big tax break to the wealthy.
They're just grabbing talking points, just back to talking points. Back to talking points.
He wants to further restrict women's reproductive rights. He wants to deny more elections and make sure to pardon himself for his criminal charges and, of course, pardon the January 6th insurrectionists. He wants to get rid of all of the policy that lowers health care and get rid of all the policy that fights climate change. That's what Donald Trump has promised to do, and that's what he would do if he wins. So what's...
Just talking points. Just talking point. It should be called the talking point extravaganza.
The conclusion from the debate. What's the takeaway? Donald Trump is a bad man who wants to do bad things.
Oh, he's a bad man.
That's the conclusion.
That's the conclusion. The conclusion is that Donald Trump's a bad man. Now, I see that Rob Noerr had a good take here. We'll tune in real quick. Right? Everyone's giving their take this fine day.
So the big debate between Trump and Biden occurred last night, and I could just sit here for 3 minutes and laugh at how ridiculous it was that, we have a guy in Joe Biden that clearly has cognitive decline to the ability where you wouldn't trust him to run a burger joint.
I wouldn't trust him to walk a dog. I wouldn't trust him to walk a dog. One of those little purse yapping dogs. One of those little like a Shih Tzu. I wouldn't trust him to walk a Shih Tzu. Daniel Dickinson gives 10 Crucible memberships. Very kind of you. Happy Cope Day 2024 as we go through all of the cope. This is just an amazing Friday.
This vindicates people like me, and it vindicates people that understand what a danger Joe Biden is. The dude still is president. We still are on the cusp of World War III. We still have a porous border. We still have economic woes. We still have a fentanyl crisis. And this is the dude that, at least symbolically, is supposed to be in charge of things. You could say, well, who really runs the country? And all of these are valid points. It's undeniable that when it comes to optically, energy, etc., Donald Trump beat Joe Biden in that debate last night more than I've ever seen someone lose on the national debate stage of a political event like
the worst. It was the worst. He's going to go down in history for the worst debate performance ever in the history of all of the United States. Nobody's ever done worse than that. The thing is that I think that Trump would have done an even better job if he hadn't been debating with a 5-year-old, right? Nobody looks good when they're debating with a 5-year-old. Nobody. Nobody looks good debating with a 5-year-old, and that's what was going on. Let's watch a little bit of cope.
And the whole time the split screen is killing Biden.
Yep.
Because he's got his mouth open, he looks confused, doesn't know where he is. He's lost his train of thought at least twice in like disastrous shape. Those are gonna be played 1 billion times in viral video after viral video. This is an epic disaster. I see.
Let me soak it in. Let me soak it in for the Cenk cope.
Disaster.
Hang on, what did he say? What did he say it was?
Epic disaster.
Oh, it's an epic disaster. An epic disaster. His thoughts are seldom more complicated than the desire for ice cream. Oh, it's an epic. Hang on, one more time. What did he say it was? Somebody clip it.
Epic disaster.
An epic. One more. I gotta hear it again. Hear it again.
This is an epic disaster.
An epic disaster. An epic fucking disaster.
I see people online saying, well, okay, that answer wasn't so bad. No, it doesn't. Any particular answer doesn't matter at all. This thing is over. He looks like he's barely surviving. I don't mean the debate, I mean life. And so there's no person that has a single brain cell left in their head who thinks that Joe Biden is the best candidate to take on Donald Trump. You would have to be even crazier than Donald Trump to think that. This thing is over. I'll guarantee you this. I would bet show me a Democratic politician and I will bet them any amount of money that Joe to get annihilated. That is, okay. Now the Democrats have to decide. Are they happy to lose? Are they willing to lose? Because this is a guaranteed loss.
This is so much worse than my worst nightmares of.
Oh, I want to hear it again. I want to hear it again.
Worse than my worst nightmares.
Oh, one more time. One more time. This is so much worse than my worst nightmare.
Guaranteed loss.
This is so much worse than my worst nightmares of.
It is so much worse than my worst nightmare. Ah, yes. Yes. Seethe, you fucking bastard, seethe.
What it could be like in every way.
In every possible way. This yet another purple-haired Coomer gremlin. He's very miffed, this purple-haired Coomer gremlin. He's very upset. As we get some cope from Destiny, let's take a look. Let's watch some Destiny coping.
I mean, I guess it. I mean, I say that. I maybe theoretically could turn the other way. It's like, oh my god, everybody's like so excited.
Oh, damn it! Come on.
Because it's so unprecedented. So many people go out to vote, but I think it's like such a risky play, and it's such a it's California too. Like I'm not sure. I don't know. That's just.
Well, this is so what you just said is a point that Cenk makes a lot, which is that it would draw so much more attention if there was a contested convention, right?
Well, it couldn't be contested. It would have to be like Biden was like, okay, I'm going to let Newsom come in, right?
Right. No, 100%. Yeah. He would have to dip. Right. It would the predicate event would be him just saying, I'm not running. I'm dropping out. You all fight over the delegates. That sort of contested convention, and I do think there would be a lot of eyes on that. But the point there, I think that Cenk and others who called for Biden to drop out from the very beginning didn't factor in is, they'd refer to polls where it's like, well, listen, generic Democrat beats Trump. The problem is
you don't have.
By the way, ladies and gentlemen, we hit the goal for our travel expenses. Mr. E, set it up to 15,000, please. I'd appreciate that. We still have more streams to go before we travel out. Thank you to everybody at the Crucible for assisting me in hitting that goal. Mr. E, make it so, right? That's what I pay you the small bucks for. Make it so, Mr. E. Set it up to 15K. Thank you to everybody at the Crucible. These crowns are for you. Truly appreciate it. We hit it. We hit it, boys.
You put a face in the right.
Yeah, exactly. Because you don't have anything bad about a generic Democrat. All you can think of are policy positions. But as soon as you start naming them in particular, yeah.
Right.
You also have to watch out too for the online discourse on this is like really cooked, because any quote unquote like centrist that's criticizing any Biden cognitive thing or whatever, these people are ideologically aligned with Trump. They don't really care about Biden's cognitive stuff. Biden could be
Oh, Lord. This is the worst cope I've ever seen.
in perfect cognitive shape. They would still vote for Trump. It really doesn't matter. These people are immovable in terms of like any kind of argument about policy or anything. They just like Trump because he's epic and he roasts people on Twitter. So that all the online discourse is like super retarded as well.
Yeah, I mean, Trump didn't answer. I mean, here's the thing. Biden at least will try to substantively.
I don't think politics is we consider it as a chill topic. Shut the fuck up, dude. Then go away. Then go away. You don't even have to announce that you're dumb. You can just leave. Speaking of Destiny, I just rewatched an old debate with you and him, Not So Bright and Grace. And I had thought of what if his son grows up and looks up to you instead of him. No, I don't have any thoughts. I'm not going to ever bring up another. Why would I ever bring up this guy's son? That's insane. I'm not going to go after his family. That's insane.
Address questions posed to him. Again, he'll ramble. It obviously tonight, this was the worst debate I've ever seen him have. By far.
That's the worst debate anybody's ever had.
Worst performance publicly ever.
100%. But he at least tried to engage with the question, as you memed and others pointed out on Twitter. Trump would, like the next question, Trump would go back to the previous question to try to get like the last word in on Biden. If he didn't get it, he didn't answer half the questions. And to your point, it seems like people don't care about that. Certainly Republicans don't. They don't care. But yes, much of like even what I call like the centrist, like so-called like liberal mainstream media, this is something I bitch about a lot on my channel, which is
both sides have guys who will not switch sides regardless of right and wrong. That's true. The Trump derangement syndrome celebs, why are they stuck on hating irrationally like Bill Maher, Sam Harris? Well, they're invested, dude. You have to understand how invested these guys are. You think that they're going to take 3 years or 4 years out of their life or 6 years out of their life or 8 years out of their life and then go, oh, you know what, guys, I was wrong. You know what? I was wrong. They're not doing that shit. It's time to start the Andrew Dave tandem bike fun. The tandem bicycling.
It's not just, Fox. It's not just OAN. It's not just Newsmax. It's not just Rob Noerr, Tim Pool, and all the others. The New York Times, like Media Matters did this this kind of expose examining, articles about Biden's gaffes compared to Trump's, and like the New York Times and CNN, all these other places, Washington Post, it was a staggering asymmetry. Like even the so-called the liberal mainstream part of the media, they grade Trump on a curve, and they do focus more on Biden, and they do expect more from Biden. But I think
that's why it's hard.
It's
hard because because on the left, people aren't really going to criticize Trump much on any policy position because they know that they disagree. And then the right has no standards for Trump. It doesn't really matter what he says or does. So it's a weird media environment where all of the criticism basically goes towards Biden. Like they even like half said it. They're like, yeah, the fact checker went crazy for Trump and that'll be in the record. And then that was like all I said. I was like, yeah, he didn't really answer a single question and he said a bunch of wild, crazy shit. But it doesn't even matter at this point for him. He doesn't have to say anything like that's tethered to reality.
Respect for Andrew not speaking on a man's family. Never done it
at all. So, but like I said, I think this is what the Biden team has to like realize. Like, okay, well, Biden needs to pick a couple good talking points, have a couple good slogans, and then just like hammer those home over and over again instead of
This was my prediction on Rob Noerr's stream last night, is that what they'll do is they'll draw him out of the debates and instead they'll give him talking points. They'll give him some talking points and have him hammer those and basically remember them, right? So they'll hammer them into him with cue cards, flashcards, whatever. Okay? That's what they'll do. That's what I think that they'll do. I don't think that they'll replace him. I don't think that they're going to do that. I think that that would be a bad idea, ultimately a bad idea. It seems that the Coomer Gremlin agrees with me here, and that's kind of their best path to victory is just have this guy up on stage with memorized talking points, and he'll probably do a lot better.
They're trying to do like policy debate, like he's in like a college campus or some bullshit. Yeah, it's retarded.
I'm sure you wouldn't disagree with this, but in terms of how much you make it a point, let me ask you. There was a good, I think Jennifer Rubin wrote this really good op-ed in the Washington Post like 2 weeks ago. And one of her paragraphs mentioned, for a chief executive, a good chief executive, being a good communicator is obviously like an added bonus, but being a master rhetorician is not a necessity, right? Being a great debater is not a necessity of being a competent chief executive. You debate for a living. how much would you die on that hill? Like if someone were to try to defend Biden, say, listen, this debate was terrible, but this actually is not an indictment of Biden as an executive, because that's not the point of an executive, is to be a great debater. Or
What is this guy talking about?
would you say?
I actually disagree. I think that your stage presence and everything, I think it's actually pretty important.
Yeah, no shit.
I think that
it's super important. What the fuck is this guy talking about?
Because you're I mean, the president has more power, I think, in the United States, I think, than traditionally than most like of these types of roles in other countries, I think, generally.
Yeah.
But I think you're also kind of like the cheerleader for America. Like, you're the guy that goes on stage, you talk, you do your State of the Unions.
Yep.
If you're not salty as fuck, you might even do White House correspondent dinners.
Right.
Like, yeah, I think that your presence and your ability to communicate to the world, I think is really important. Our presidents historically have had good stage presence and historically have been like decent speakers. You know, all your Reagan memes, your Gorbachev tear down this wall.
I can't even imagine anything that's more important than that. I can't imagine that there's anything more important for the president of the United States to be very, very good at being an orator, very good at leading conversations, very good at public speaking. I can't imagine any skill set that would be more important for them. Even if they were the best at legislative authority, right? Even if they were the best at moving through legislation, they were the best at working on bipartisan efforts. They have to sway the American public, and you can't do that if you're not a great orator.
Like, those things are epic, and I think people appreciate that. I think Biden's mental like faculty and his inability to communicate well on stage, especially compared to how he used to communicate, I think is a huge indictment of him, both individually and as a
It is a huge indictment of him.
Politician and as a president, for sure. But the thing is that like it would take the thing is that like if I was comparing Biden to say like Newsom or like another or like a Buttigieg or literally almost any other or fucking my God Queen Hillary Clinton, I would 100% say that like, yeah, these other people, I would definitely opt more for that.
Did he just say my God Queen Hillary Clinton in an attempt to mess with the right, who says God Emperor Trump? Doesn't really roll off the same way God Queen does it. God Queen Clinton doesn't really come off the tongue the same way. It's well, I think the word cringe was made for takes like that. How much does public perception of the debate matter? It matters. I got my normie friend to admit Biden's mentally challenged and he's still voting for him. Yeah, I mean, the thing is wait until we continue to hammer on this, right? This one mattered. They want to pretend that it didn't matter. It mattered.
Them in terms of president, but compared to Donald Trump, like, I have the choice between like a potentially senile man who is a horrible speaker and isn't the best representative of us, kind of like wacky, versus a guy who is a literal, like, anti-democratic, illiberal, like would try to disassemble the institutions of the United States to maintain his power forever and doesn't believe in rule of law. It's not even close, unfortunately.
So now he's hitting spin, right? Now it's just spin. This is pure cope right here. Okay, but I mean, even if the guy is a fucking idiot and he can't make a coherent sentence, I'm going to vote for him anyway because Trump bad. That's it. That's the whole spin. You know, let's go ahead and vote for Biden anyway because Trump's bad. He's bad. Because
the Republicans have ceased to exist in reality. Like if this debate just happened.
How the fuck how have Republicans stopped existing in reality? Biden doesn't even know where he is. He doesn't even know where he is.
And it was Nikki Haley or whatever.
Yeah. Or Mitt Romney.
Or Romney. Yeah. Like, I would have to sit and I would have to think a bit. I'd be like, fuck. Okay, maybe. Right. Like, now I have to think. For Donald Trump, I mean, they could literally wheel Biden out with a IV bag and like a Stephen Hawking voice kit, and I would probably still opt for him just because I know.
Oh my God, what did you hear? What the Coomer Gremlin just said here? Terrible take, by the way. You could bring Biden out with a Stephen Hawking voice emulation device from the old Commodore 64. I don't know if any of you remember the Commodore 64 had a program on it called SAM, which meant Simulated Auto Mouth. Then you would type shit in, and it would repeat it in the Stephen Hawking voice through the Commodore 64 speaker. So he's going to reel that out, right? You reel that out, and he's in a colostomy bag. He can't make a coherent sentence. Destiny doesn't care. Because Trump bad.
The people that are behind him are going to be better than.
Right, but that's that right there. That's
well, I see. See, the thing is that Doesn't really matter if the president of the United States is completely ineffective, right? Because the people behind him, possibly his entire administration, who was not voted for or elected, will handle things on his behalf. Wow, what a great take. What a win for democracy that is, isn't it? What a great and phenomenal win for democracy that an administration filled to the brim with a bunch of unelected officials runs the United States because, well, after all, that's still got to be better than Donald Trump. Tons of these are coming in via DM on Twitter. Well, X now. I appreciate it very much. Let's see what this is as the black voters weigh in on the debate.
Raise your hand for me if you voted for Biden in 2020. And keep your hand up if you're still with him this time around after that debate. Slowly going down. Raise your hand for me if you voted for Biden in 2020. And keep your hand up if you're still with him this time around after that debate.
Brutal. Brutal. Oh, we got more cope coming in. This one's from Mark Cuban. Look at some Mark Cuban cope here. Oh, man. Mark Cuban wrote a fucking book. Mark Cuban wrote a book about this. You ready? His performance was awful, but so was Trump's. Biden was feeble. Trump couldn't directly answer a single question and lied with every response. The question is, what features voters believe make a better president of the United States? Feeble, capable, and ethical versus vigorous, unethical, and incapable of telling the truth. I'll vote ethical every time. Fucking cope. I mean, that is serious cope. Unadulterated serious cope. The reality is, Joe wasn't capable last night of debating someone who only lies. He doesn't have the energy or the ability to shout him down, hold him accountable, and laugh at Trump's responses. Joe could have held his own against a candidate that actually can discuss policy, but that wasn't the challenge last night. And Joe wasn't prepared or capable of dealing with Donald and his style. What? What? Hang on, there's more. You thought we were done. Nope, there's actually more here. That aside, there's no way you could listen to Donald Trump last night and come away feeling confident that Trump has the ability to go deeper than his practiced sound bites. He repeated himself often and never directly answered the moderator's questions. What fucking debate did this guy watch? CNN are doing their job because they want Joe replaced. They know he can't win. It's possible. Possible. I mean, we'll have to see. It's unprecedented. Nobody knows what the fuck's going to happen. There was nothing that would give anyone confidence that he could hold his own in any complicated situation. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. In fact, his non-answers about J6 and the election acceptance should scare every American about his interest in upholding his oath to the Constitution, but that doesn't make Biden's performance any less awful. But he answered the questions he was asked, even if the presentation was underwhelming. And we have the last 3+ years in his being POTUS without his getting laughed at or smirked at, no tell-alls or leaks, discussing his incompetence. No former advisors or cabinet members saying they won't vote for him. That gives me confidence that in the normal duties of the presidency, he can hold his own and do his job. Unfortunately, this election's not about policies. It's about sound bites, social media, and who delivers them better, and the algorithms that deliver them to voters. Trump is far better than Biden at sound bites and marketing. That's reality. For that reason, I'm also open to the discussion to replace Biden and Harris. It's not like Trump's approval ratings are high. They aren't. It could be an open door to find someone immediately who outperforms Trump. Beyond the loyalty of his hardcore 30% or so, I think a large number of people who currently support him would walk away to a better alternative. But if that doesn't happen, I'm still voting Biden, the ethical candidate who questionably stands by his oath and puts his country over self-interest. What a book, dude. What a book by Mark Cuban to try to convince you that you did not see what you saw.
I saw in him then the same character that I see in him today. And even though he has faced unimaginable tragedies, his optimism is undaunted.
Oh, my God. It's so bad. We got more cope. This time from, I mean, this guy's always coping, by the way. Every time this guy's coping. But let's give it a listen. Let's give the cope some listen here.
I have so many thoughts about this debate. Obviously, it was cadaver Joe Biden versus pig Donald Trump. You all saw it. I am concerned. Pig Donald Trump came out looking like nothing, like he's hopped up on Diet Cokes and quarter pounders with cheese. Cadaver Joe Biden, I thought he was going to be on that Lance Armstrong. I thought they were going to have him juiced up. I thought he was going to look like Sugar Ray Leonard in his prime, moving and grooving. He looked like he was comfortably numb. He looked like, especially in the beginning, he didn't know what the or where the he was. Dr. Jill Biden at the end ran into the ring like Adrian at the end of Rocky, like checking on him. I tell you one thing, a lot of people right now currently are talking about Biden dropping out and replacing him with Gavin with the good hair Newsom. Gavin with the good hair Newsom. I lived in California. I still pay taxes in California. You ran that place into the ground. San Francisco, you and Kamala Harris, you turned one of the most beautiful cities in the world into a total dawn of the dead. I'm not with Gavin with the good hair or Kamala. Okay? If Gavin with the good hair or Kamala replace him, I'm openly, proudly pick Donald Trump 2024. I have a lot to say about this debate. Sorry. And it's all up, live and cooking on the I Am Rapaport Stereo Podcast. Fresh baked on the I Am Rapaport Stereo Podcast.
It is the Cope stream after all. Aaron Pearson for $5 says an alternative title to Mark Cuban's book, How to Gaslight Verbosely. Yeah, total gaslighting. Trying to make you think that you did not see what you saw. But you did see what you saw. You did see it. Bunch of lying snakes. All of them. Bunch of lying fucking snakes. Where do I go to see the full catalog? I've heard you say it before, but can't remember. You go to the Crucible.video. The Crucible.video. Become a member over there. $15 a month. It's nothing.